Welcome to today's webcast. My name is Mike Otranto, and I'm a strategic account specialist at Microsoft. I'm also joined on today's webcast with Jim Patterson, who leads in a business development role, and Matt Wiley, our product and technology expert. Today, we're going to focus on digital transformation through the Agile PMO. After the webinar, you will receive an email with a copy of the recording and the slide deck so you can review. The line will not be open for questions, but you can type in your questions via the chat feature. So if you want to know more about Microsoft and who we are today, we are a Microsoft joint venture that was founded in 2002. We provide consulting, business process outsourcing, managed services, and global support for staffing. We are a triple certified Microsoft partner. Less than 1% of partners ever have that designation. We're certified in project portfolio management, collaboration and content, and cloud productivity. From a project and portfolio management standpoint, we have a deep expertise in Project Online and Project Server. So we have a lot of experience helping organizations maximize their efficiency and technological advantage. We have a footprint all over North America and internationally. I will now hand off the webcast to Jim. Jim?
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate the introduction. Welcome, everybody, and thanks for spending some time with us today for this webcast. Today's topic, driving digital transformation through the Agile PMO. For the agenda that we're going to talk about today, we'll go through the impact of digital transformation, how that impacts the evolution of the PMO. We'll talk about some ideas or tips for supporting change in that digital transformation approach. And then we'll also talk about PMO tools for the modern workplace and focus on Project Online and some things that are exciting around that are being done today. We're going to then give you a demonstration of these things live in action, and then we'll close up by talking about things like PMO managed services, hiring the right PMO team, and just summary and wrap up and some special offers for you in attendance today. So with that, let's get started and let's talk about the impact of digital transformation. It's really being all precipitated because of the rise of technology. Technology and just the advent of what were formerly brick and mortar or low-tech businesses even becoming essentially technology and software businesses is driving this whole trend. If you look at department stores that become the Amazons of the world, the blockbuster videos where we used to wait in line have become the streaming outfits like Netflix. Even simple transportation like what used to be taxis is Uber and Lyft. And even going to the fast food restaurant to get our soft drinks has become a software-driven experience for us in a lot of locations. The key is that we're finding new ways to go to market. Companies are finding new ways to have to compete and reach their customers, and it impacts every part of the organization, whether it's the executives that have to come up with the strategies, the PMOs who have to execute the projects and programs that actually deliver on these things, the software development folks that actually have to put the code together and actually deliver the products. And then ultimately when we deliver, it has to be supported through a support infrastructure so that our customers remain happy. The idea is it's really driving a lot of change in the marketplace for our PMOs and for our project management overall. So change is the new norm. Before, when we used to have longer duration, steady as she goes type of waterfall projects, in the past, we could actually go long periods of time before we would have to react to change. Even market windows were longer. And so slow-paced business environments are a thing of the past. Where you just plan ahead and kind of make adjustments as needed, but really didn't have to worry about too much about unpredictability. But now with the technological pace and unpredictable business environment and market conditions constantly changing, in order to stay competitive, we have to plan for change, and change is the new norm on a much more rapid pace. So how does this translate into what is digital transformation, and what is digital transformation? What really is it about the digital change? It's all about improving the way we live by leveraging technology. And this example is a simple one, but it's an example of how we today find restaurants in the not in yellow pages, but asking your phone to get it for you in a more technological way. Just simple things like that can be expanded into almost any area of personal life and business. So if we think about what digital transformation is, some folks think it's kind of a very esoteric, high-level concept, and some thinks it's technology driven only, but it's really more than technology. It's really new ways of looking at business, and it's focused on the customer. And it's really about finding new strategies and approaches to take advantage of new opportunities in the market and ways that we can generate revenue and market share within our respective markets. And it's also impacting not only the things that are customer facing in that regard, but even the back office things to help us become more effective and more profitable at what we're doing. So if we think about the components in there, just the customer centricity, business models, agility, digital and data driven, collaboration, it really requires some new mindsets and ways of looking at the world and looking at business in order to make these things happen. So the impacts of digital change, the speed at which we innovate, market windows. We used to come out with a product and maybe get a 3 to 5 year run on a product in the old days. We're lucky now with product models and different things that our competitors are doing. We're lucky if we have 12 to 18 months windows to work with. So the speed in which we innovate and come up with new ideas has really rapidly increased. Also, we have more educated consumers and more demanding consumers who have more alternatives in the marketplace that they can get to, and they can educate themselves on the internet. So they have higher expectations, and we have to actually meet those if we want to keep those consumers or those customers. And also, since we have more complex technology, it doesn't mean that there isn't a demand for simplicity. People want easy apps, easy ways to access, and if it's not simple, people are going to move on to something that is. So we have to actually keep in mind that we have to take the complex and make it simple in its user experience. And just the rise of the competition. There's so many more avenues of competition today, ways that people can go to market that don't require the infrastructure it did in the past, meaning we have to actually keep the up and coming startup at bay, even if we're an established leader in the marketplace. And ultimately, we have to have time to value. If we can't get there quickly, if we can't get to market quickly or deliver value more incrementally and more quickly, someone's going to move on to someone that can deliver that for them. So a survey done by PricewaterhouseCoopers of CEOs said that 86% of CEOs consider digital their #1 priority. And that's interesting because, not all businesses we would consider, maybe the focus would be on digital, especially the more low tech or what we consider low tech businesses. And the fact that digital transformation is occurring means that we have major projects and programs going through our organizations. And in order to be successful, we have to manage those successfully through their life cycle, but from the idea stage all the way through successful completion and delivery of the value. That being said, just like traditional project management, the vast majority of projects or a significant number of projects or percentage of projects don't meet their potential or fulfill or deliver on the promise. And digital transformation is no better. As a matter of fact, it's a little bit worse. Current market trend says maybe just over 20% of digital transformation projects are successful at this point in time. And the idea is we have to get better at delivering these projects and make sure that we tap into that untapped potential to not only do the right project, do the projects right, but to do the right projects and work on the right things. If we deliver the wrong thing well, we've still not succeeded. So Harvard Business Review did a survey and surveyed business leaders and executives across the industry, and they broke these folks out into what are considered digital leaders in the marketplace, more followers of these trends, and more laggards as far as digital technology. And in this regard, they asked them about their expectations of positive business outcomes over the next 2 years as a result of the use of digital technologies. Well, to a great extent, on a scale of 1 to 10, the majority of folks were actually expecting an 8 to a 10 of great extent of business impact to them. To a lesser extent, especially the more in the laggard side of things, moderate benefits. But the idea is everybody has high expectations and high anticipation of benefits for these digital technology or digital transformation efforts. Now, where are these leaders placing their bets when it comes to digital? Well, when you look at the percentage of where they are supporting each areas of digital technology and where their focus is going to be, it starts out leading by improving customer-facing touchpoints experiences, things like our websites and how customers interact with us. The other one is using digital to improve decisions so that we have the right information, have decision support so that we're making decisions based on the right facts and the right information and the right trends. Also launching new products and services, using this to make sure that we're delivering the products that the marketplace wants so that we remain competitive and remain in our leadership positions and keep those and keep our competitors at bay. And also just launching new business models, new creative ways of going to the marketplace. Just because we've done things in a way in the past, because of the fact we have a digital infrastructure that we can leverage and technologies that we didn't have before, it opens up a whole new world of possibilities of ways of doing business. Let's just look at what Uber and Lyft have done to the taxi cab industry. Also improve non-customer facing operations. The digital technology and the infrastructures that it can provide and the technologies and capabilities we can leverage can also improve our back office or non-customer facing operations so that we become more efficient, more cost effective, and ultimately satisfy our customers better by being more effective and more responsive. So what are the top expected impacts of digital technologies? As we go through these surveys and look at what people expect, the top 4 that keep coming up are: 1, increasing top line revenues, increasing sales, and getting to the customers with more products and more innovative ways to get to those customers and generate and take advantage of revenue opportunities. The other one is driving customer loyalty. The digital experience now, whether it be on the phones or on the computer or voice or other things, is really a competitive balance changer. Even look at financial institutions. It's how you interact with the websites and the tools and the capabilities you have at their ATMs or kiosks can differentiate and bring customers to you and drive loyalty based upon the services and the capabilities they provide and how easy they are to access. Also, they want to optimize costs to serve those customers, meaning the cost of the process and the cost of supporting and maintaining that customer in the back office and our internal processes. Being able to drive down those costs through efficiencies and effectiveness is another key top expected impact of these digital technologies. And also the ability to create a single view of the customer. In most organizations, there's so many different data points and data sources and aspects of the customer relationship. The ability through digital and cloud technology to be able to create a single view of the customer so as to understand what the customer is doing with us, what our activities are with them, what their experiences are with us, how well we're supporting them, can all come through a single pane of glass or a single pane of view. And that's another top expected benefit of digital technologies. So what are the barriers to doing digital transformation? If all this promise and benefit is here, what are the barriers that are preventing us from succeeding in many cases? Well, one is sometimes it's just culture and other existing business realities that are in place. For example, some companies are not structured to be able to experiment quickly in a very agile approach. The ability to experiment quickly and fail fast and move on to something else is something that's important in order to be innovative, in order to get time to market, and also to put the right things out there. And to do that, we have to be able to respond to change real well. And so many organizations have trouble with their change management capabilities and don't respond well to change, or have a culture that doesn't respond well to change. Also, many organizations are built into different departmental or functional silos, and some have more troubles than others in working across those silos and become barriers to us becoming effective because we may be doing things redundantly or at counter purposes, or maybe in a way that reduces the effectiveness of the other organizations. Also, we may have a risk-averse culture. This is a bold move moving into digital transformation, and it requires some vision and some courage. And the idea is that if you're in a risk-averse culture, it may prevent us from taking advantage of the opportunities that are sitting in front of us. And also, many times we are hampered or feel we are bogged down by legacy systems, things that have been placed for years, maybe and put in a place in a way that we no longer understand as to why they were put in the way they were put in, because the people who actually put them in place might be long gone. And the idea of these legacy systems maybe can be leveraged, but also they could possibly be improved and replaced with things that are more modern and with things that might reduce our costs and make us more capable of taking advantages of the benefits of digital transformation. So what kind of skills are needed to harness technology and go through a digital transformation? Well, we have to have the ability to adapt to change, first and foremost, because it is a big change. And until we culturally get to the point where we can adapt to that change, we're not going to succeed. We also have to become more customer focused. I think that's one of the key things. It's going to be a customer-centric world out there. Customers now can educate themselves. They're more demanding, more educated, and more knowledgeable about the things that we're bringing to the marketplace, meaning they no longer have to come to us to get the information. Usually they're well informed by the time they get to us and they're considering buying something from us, whether it be a product or a service. We also have the ability to communicate and collaborate, meaning if we cannot collaborate with one another across the organization and communicate well outside to our external customers as well as to our internal customers, we're not going to be successful or effective at harnessing technology and reaping its benefits. Also, we need to have the technological knowledge and capabilities with specific technologies that we're going to leverage, especially in the cloud, and the way that these cloud technologies are going to interact with one another. We also have to have knowledge transformation using methods such as Lean as we start trying to formulate internally new ways of doing business, new internal business processes, and other things that we're thinking of. We need to use more modern approaches like Lean in order to get there, to get the organization to where we want to go faster and with less overhead and a quicker time to delivery. So with all that, what does that mean to the PMO in its evolution? Well, if we think about the PMO, even traditionally, when people are asked about what is a PMO or what is the purpose of a PMO, Forrester PMI Project Management Online Survey, there was a lot of P's in these answers. For example, some say project governance, some say it's project management, some say it's methodology development, portfolio management, program management, etc. The idea as far as what are the primary purposes of a PMO can vary, and it actually can vary depending on the charter and where it sits within an organization. The idea is, these PMOs were originally put in place to put process in place and to get some semblance of consistency and conformity so that we can deliver consistent quality on things that we're going through our project management process. That being said, there has been an evolution, and since that time, there's been lessons learned. I mean, that was a great step ahead when we were getting consistent processes and approaches for more repeatable delivery. But process-driven really doesn't mean much in and of itself. It's nice that we've tackled that and have gotten through that. But the idea here is that we're not delivering process, okay? We're delivering not even projects. Even delivering the project isn't enough these days. We have to deliver value. If we deliver something well, but it's not the right thing and it's not delivering the value the business or the customer wants, have we really succeeded? And I would say we haven't. The other thing we have to recognize and the lesson learned is that the resource capacity always matters. We have very heroic organizations in the past where would always stand up and say, we just get it done. And it didn't matter what came in, we just don't say no. And the idea there's always a price to pay, no free lunch, whether it be in quality, whether it be in overburdened resources, turnover, and all those types of things that happen when we overwork folks. And also we have to learn that dependencies are part of our constraints. And I don't mean just in the detailed scheduling that we do with precedence logic, but understanding what all the dependencies are in our projects, because at a higher level, things like operating systems and core technologies may be hard dependencies that drive whether or not the things we're working on from an application level or from a solution level are going to be consistent with where the rest of the organization is going. And the idea is we want to identify these as part of our constraints, just like resources are constraints. And the other piece is troubled projects require immediate attention, meaning much like a troubled child, if you ignore it and think it's going to go away, it's only going to compound itself and get worse until it's something that we can't tackle or we can't fix. And the idea is we require immediate attention once we understand that something is going wrong. We also need to speak the language of the business, meaning if we as a PMO are not driving in the same direction with the same goals and priorities of the business, we are not going to succeed, or we're not going to be perceived as having to succeed from a business context. And also, software alone is not enough. Many folks have put in software solutions, and we're going to talk about software solutions today, but it is really only a percentage of the equation, maybe 20, 25% maybe of the equation. The rest of it, as far as people, process, technology, and culture, are all important components that drive what we need to do and to be successful in the PMO in this digital transformation age. So as we look, and we're always monitoring trends in the marketplace as opposed to project and portfolio management and the things that are driving its needs. And the trends for 2020 that we see in looking at the analysts and some of our own analysis is the move to the cloud, the more digital PMO, meaning leveraging cloud technologies and not managing the infrastructure internally. And also with the rise of technology, we're seeing the rise of Agile. A higher and higher percentage of folks are doing Agile within their organizations as opposed to exclusively the traditional waterfall types of project approaches we used to see in years past. And because of this technological boom, it's really breeding more and more new product development efforts that are leveraging more of these new product development and more agile types of approaches to doing projects. And we have to account for these more and more in our PMOs. And the other trend is connected systems. As we've talked about silos in different organizations, we've had different silos of information and data, whether they be systems and solutions, spreadsheets, and other pockets of data that we have in organizations. The idea to be effective in this digital age, we have to have connected systems that work well together and leverage the things that they do best, but synergize with the other systems and processes that are going on in the business. And then being able to visualize all that data, because with these connected systems, we're going to be building rich data sets to be able to visualize this data in a very intelligent, meaningful, and analytical way to help through decision support and making decisions about our customer-facing decisions that we want to make. It has to be presented to us in a way that's interpretable and easy. And then the whole move of AI, machine learning, and predictive analytics is something that's on the horizon as well. Well, actually, it's here today, and it's just evolving. So PMO capability must. If we look at the lighter faces of the blocks, those are the things we traditionally associated with the PMO. You know, resource management, portfolio management, schedule and task management, et cetera. In this new world order, we really need to focus and add to that mix as musts, the ones in the darker faces, agility, overall work management, not just project work, integration, meaning integration with other systems and processes, taking the complex and make it more simple, making sure that we have a simple experience for the user base that's out there. And the more automation and workflow processing that we can do from a business process perspective, the better. As I had mentioned, Agile project management is on the rise. Version 1 does a state of Agile survey every year. And if you look at the increase of organizations practicing Agile, this is not that they've adapted Agile across the board, but 94% of organizations as of 2017 were basically doing Agile somewhere in their organization. And that's up from 80% up in 2011. So the steady, there's a steady climb in this number. And for that reason, to be successful in this day and age, we really need to have multiple planning and delivery modes. If we think about what Gartner coined as bimodal IT back in 2015, the idea here is that you have the more traditional mode 1 projects, things that are using more waterfall approaches, more governance-driven traditional PMO operations with projects with longer cycle times and using phase or stage gate methodologies. And the idea there is that projects, the analogy was more like a marathon runner, kind of steady as she goes through the life of the project. But with this new rise in technology and of Agile, the Agile approach or mode 2 is more like a sprinter with iterative shorter cycle times using approaches like Lean, Kanban, Scrum, other things of that nature. And the idea there's projects that are very conducive to that and benefits that organizations are seeing by running technology projects from that. But in our travels through the marketplace, we find that it's not a one-size-fits-all world out there. Some Agile purists will tell you everything should be done Agile. And but I would say our experience is telling us that certain projects don't lend themselves necessarily to that methodology. And the idea it's having two coherent modes of delivery on this, one focused more on stability and the other on agility, has a place in most organizations. So the key is, how do we find the right balance? How do we find enough governance, visibility, insight, alignment, and control, the things that we find through traditional PPM or mode 1 operation, but have the requisite amount of agility so we can innovate, and get time to market, bring the right things to the marketplace so that we can actually go out and deliver successfully and take advantage of the agility that we have in an organization, but still provide the visibility to leadership that they want to see. So ultimately, the blend of approaches really brings organizational agility. It's not just agile. So smart organizations realize that using agile techniques such as Scrum or DevOps is not the only or even the best indicator of an organization's speed or flexibility. Most agile organizations are more likely to use several different project management approaches, as according to a paper from PMI on the capturing of the value of project management through organizational agility. So the idea is the hybrid or blended approach seems to be the way people are going. Now, as we talk about moving to a digital age and more digital agile PMOs, there are benefits to be had. You know, where a digital PMO really has the capability to provide project information to any relevant stakeholder at any time and any device, and it's real-time data processing made available in a web and mobile-friendly format. And the idea here is that this anywhere, anytime, any device access to this information is really made available through this digital age with cloud computing. And the Agile PMO quickly responds to change, and that's the key that we have to address to be successful. Respond to change in the marketplace, respond to change in requirements, and be able to do on a timely fashion and a responsive way, deliver on that change and respond to it. So the idea with an Agile PMO is they need to be able to retain focus on outcome and benefits in a turbulent economy, meaning delivering the right thing. We want to be able to balance flexibility and stability, that mode 1 versus mode 2. We want to be able to track and monitor project performance based on more agile metrics on how we're delivering. And then we want to encourage project teams to revalidate their activities along the way. You know, just because it was a requirement this month doesn't mean the next month that those requirements are going to be exactly the same. So we need to officially respond to change as opposed to executing on a preset longer term plan, like a big requirements document that might not be valid 12 months from now. The key is the benefits of agility, scalability, because of cloud technology, we don't have to manage the infrastructure, lower cost of ownership because we're not buying capital investments in technology and computing power, and we're just paying as we go in the cloud. And be able to provide governance control and take action while there's momentum because we don't have to worry about standing up and maintaining technology or doing upgrades, et cetera. And we can remain focused on delivering value, the things that we can do most importantly for the organization. Ultimately, having this anywhere, anytime access will help strengthen collaboration. And then from a flexibility perspective, just have mobility and accessibility from wherever we are and on whatever device. And ultimately, because we are on these cloud platforms that are always on the latest and greatest technology that's available, we'll maintain competitive advantage over people that don't. So just some tips and tricks for supporting change, since these things really represent big change management efforts within organizations. Well, the main thing is that senior leadership is not optional. Change-resistant people or personnel will impact success, whether it be at the leadership level or at the grassroots level. The idea is that we want to mitigate that and deal with the folks that are resistant to change that are going to impede our success. We want to emphasize employee empowerment as we set the stage for where we want to go with change in a digital transformation. We want to establish a clear vision based on reality and communicate that change and paint a clear picture of the end result, and then empower our employees to help us get to that end result. But we can't do that without having at least a senior champion on the senior leadership team who will actually walk the talk and not just be talk. And we need to really put real things in place like a structure which will support the change, whether it be a steering committee or a leadership council and such. The idea is to support this as we go on through. And then we should also put in a change management reward and recognition program, something that's public, something that reinforces the behaviors and the approaches and the things that we want accomplished as far as actualizing this change. And we want to not just talk about it, but we want to actively solicit and act upon feedback. We want to ask the troops how it's going. We want to know where things are working and where they're not so that we can respond to that change and we can act accordingly. But most of all, we need to recognize the human element. Change is hard. Change oftentimes goes against human nature. And we also should temper our plans and our expectations and timelines based upon that human element and what we really think we can do as an organization, being honest with ourselves of where we're at as an organization, who we are as an organization, and what we're really ready to tackle and what we're ready to sustain. Often we're doing this stuff in a very phased implementation to make sure we do incremental gains rather than one big bang at this approach. And then senior leadership needs to participate in the training so they can, one, ride the wave with everybody else, and also so they can understand firsthand what the challenges are moving forward, and also so they can exemplify and lead by example the things that have been learned in that training. Ultimately, leadership needs to be honest and worthy of trust. If you treat people with respect, if you level with them and give them the good and the bad and the hard and the difficult news, the idea is we can get together through that leadership to work together to get to a successful outcome in this digital transformation world. So if we look at the PMO tools for the modern workplace, things that are available today, and we're going to focus on the Microsoft technologies that are available today. The idea is that Microsoft Project Online, or what's often called Microsoft PPM, is really a comprehensive and intelligent solution that propels successful execution from strategy to outcomes. And it's all done in the Microsoft Cloud, meaning from ideation, from that early idea, all the way through doing formal project requests and business cases, high-level planning so that we can get approval on projects and get that business case done, through the detailed planning that we need in order to execute from a schedule and resource and cost perspective, all the way through the outcomes. And in the Microsoft Cloud, what comes with that is all the collaboration, insights, analytics, and reporting, and just the ability to extend those things through workflows and apps and other things that are available to you. Makes this something that helps actuate that digital transformation in managing those programs with this type of solution. So if we think about Project Online being that end-to-end solution, from ideation all the way through completion, and then all the analytics and reporting and capabilities in between, it is built on the Microsoft Cloud, or that Office 365 infrastructure. And with so many people moving to the Office 365 cloud, it really becomes a natural extension of what you're doing with other business productivity tools like Outlook, Word, and PowerPoint, and Yammer, and SharePoint, and all the things that are already there. The idea is we get to leverage those in a project management context, and Project Online just becomes part of that overall Office 365 cloud experience. And because these things are all working in synergy, we get some real synergies and effectiveness in working with this in this environment, and really get to have a PMO digital workplace through it. So if we think about digital transformation and harnessing the power of the Microsoft Cloud, and digital transformation being more than just technology, but the people and the processes and the culture as well, and reinventing your business processes, well, what's available in the Microsoft Cloud is pretty substantial. The Microsoft PPM solution, or Project Online, is the top node on there. It's only one thing there. And in our demonstration today, we're going to be showing you things regarding its integration with things like Office 365 Planner and Visual Studio Team Services, VSTS, Power BI, etc. And the idea is that it can harness a lot of power to get you very far along the road towards a digital transformation that you're looking to achieve. By getting continuous innovation, you get changes or the latest and greatest features all the way along the line, as opposed to the old days where you installed software on your own servers and basically got new releases every 2 to 3 years, and then went through major churn as you went through those upgrades. Incremental adding of features and functions will make sure you always have the latest and greatest technologies at your fingertips. And even doing things in the cloud like unified communication and collaboration, using things like Microsoft Teams, which is becoming the collaborative platform in Microsoft to be able to access all these tools, schedules in Project Online, backlogs and sprints in Visual Studio, reports in Power BI, one Office 365 Planner work plans. The idea is having these all available in one place is something that really streamlines this and makes some of this digital transformation or digital vision take hold and actually come to life. And vendors like Wickersoft, we speed up time to market by having pre-configured solutions that are ready to go, that people get up with in the matter of a couple of weeks, so that the idea is they can get all the capabilities they need in this digital PMO already at their fingertips, and they can start managing projects day one in these robust environments. Same thing holds true with reporting and report packs and content packs available to give you the analytics you want day one right out of the box, as well as the connectivity to other solutions via connectivity platforms that tie Project Online to other solutions in your organization. So with those concepts, let's talk about showing you these things in action. Matt Willie will take the presenter mode and start showing us the things we've been talking about. Thanks, Matthew.
Perfect. Thanks, Jim. All right. So I'm logged in here into Project Online. Project Online is just one of the apps as part of the Office 365 experience, as Jim was talking about. And what we're looking at here is a list of all of our different projects, and they're grouped up by portfolio, but this could be grouped and totaled up by program or department, or however you want to organize and structure your projects into different groups. From there, we can ideate and have new project requests come in. And I'll just switch my view here, and we can see, for example, if we wanted to group it by state, I can see how things are flowing through our portfolio. So first, things come in requested, these different buckets of work that we need to do, and these pieces of value that we're going to deliver back to the business and our customers. And then we can go into an approved state and into in progress and so on and so forth. And there are tools to help us get there, and we can put some governance into this process, so we make sure that we're focusing on doing the right things that are going to give us the most benefit for the amount of resources and costs, et cetera, that we need to put into them. To do that, there's a tool built into Project Online called Portfolio Analysis. So as all this new demands coming in from different places, how do we figure out what are the best things for us to do instead of just trying to do everything? This is one way to do that. And so I can come in and I can do an analysis, and I can look at all of the demand that's coming in, and I can use different strategic drivers that we're going to set up, our own business goals to score these projects, based off of what we're trying to do as a business and the value we're trying to deliver. And once we've done all that, it comes in and we can then start to do our cost and resource analysis and look at, okay, here is a group of projects that we're trying to do. Which ones should we do? It's telling me if I only have $3 million, I should do these projects here under selected. I should not do the projects that are under unselected. Now, you always have control, so you can force these things in, you can force them out. It's just trying to give you some better information so that we can maximize the value. We're going to get 76% of the value by only investing this $3 million, which is going to give us total benefits of $7 million. But then we can play around with it and go, well, what if we're willing to increase our investment? What if we're willing to put in $5 million? Then what can we get out of this? Well, that gets our total benefits up to about $11 million. And we can get about 85% of the value. We would get 100% if we did all of the projects that we're asking to do. From there, though, cost is one piece of it, making sure that we're, staying within budgets and such, and at what level we're comfortable investing with. But the next part, and the part that gets overlooked a lot, and where it's a very big pain point for many organizations we talk to, is more on the resource side of things. Just because we have the dollars to do these projects and we've allocated the money, doesn't necessarily mean we have the resources to do these projects in the time periods that they're being asked to be done. And so what this is showing me here is I can already see there's a problem. The reason I can see there's a problem is because it didn't select all the projects. It only selected some. And the tool specifically selected the projects that are going to help me to maximize value based off of those business drivers that we set up and how we scored these projects. But then we can start to do things to try to get more of these projects in. We want to do all of these projects. We have the dollars to do it. How are we going to resource this? Well, we have two options. One, we can take some of these lower priority projects or lower value projects, and we could move them out, say 3 months, 6 months, et cetera. And by staggering things and by not doing them all at the same time, that's one way that we can solve these problems, and that'll move in some more projects. Another way is maybe we're willing to hire resources. What if I'm willing to bring on 6 more FTEs, let's say, and then I can hit recalculate, it'll go chug, 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 and it'll pull in the new things. So regardless of how I'm going to go and execute on these projects later on, whether it's Agile, Waterfall, and what tool I'm going to use to do that, whether it's Jira, VSTS, et cetera, I can have a common place where requests and ideas can come into it, and then I can pick and choose what's going to give us the most value based off of our business goals. And that's what this allows us to do. And then even figure out at a high level, how are we going to possibly staff this and have a plan going into it before we get down into the weeds. So from there, I now have a set of approved projects. Let's say I've said, yep, that's the scenario I want to go with. We're going to hire 6 people. We're going to do the $5 million investment. We're going to move around these couple projects. We now have our roadmap built, if you want to call it that. And now we can start to go and do more detailed planning and start executing on these projects. Traditionally, if I was to come and select a project here, I might want to build a waterfall schedule. And there's many cases where that, still needs to happen. There are certain types of projects that lend themselves better to waterfall methodology. For example, large infrastructure projects, building buildings, things like that. And so I could come in and I could open this up in Microsoft Project Desktop or the online planner. I could build my waterfall schedule, and there's templates built in, and I could do it that way as usual. But actually, Project Desktop also has an Agile capability within it now as well. I would call it light Agile, and it allows you to build out different sprints and build out a backlog of items, and you can drag and drop these items. This is actually in Project Desktop we're looking at now, into the different sprints. It's all just very drag and drop and such. And then from there, I can go in and I could go into a particular sprint, like go into my current sprint board. And now I'm just looking at the current sprint, and I can status items as they go from one status to the next, and or the traditional waterfall that's in there. A lot of people use tools like VSTS, which is the cloud version of what was formerly known as TFS, or Team Foundation Server. And either or, if you're in the cloud or not, we can connect these things together. So instead of opening this up in Microsoft Project Desktop to build my waterfall project, let's say my Agile team, and this project lends itself best to Agile, is already using a tool like VSTS, or maybe Jira for that matter as well. I can come in and say, I want to open this up in VSTS, and now come in and I'll build out my high level, or my more detailed plan, here, my backlog of items that I need to work on, and I'll plan those into different sprints, and I can utilize the Kanban boards and so on and so forth here in VSTS, to come and build out my plan, my epics down into features, into user stories and bugs and tasks and such, put those into the different sprints. And then utilize the Kanban boards over here to possibly update status on that work. But the cool part is, as you're doing this, as I'm building out these detailed plans, and we're doing things like possibly even tracking actual hours, timesheet hours, if you want to call them that we've spent on it, we can roll all that information back on into Project Online, so I still have one portfolio of all of my projects instead of having things segregated into different tools. And then I can compare those actuals as they come back in, based, comparatively to the budgets that we set initially up front. And we'll see some reports that look at those types of things, and as well as you can see that within the tool here as well. Let's say you wanted to use the Office 365 Planner. That's a really great tool that allows you to do some really quick, easy, lightweight task planning. I really just want to manage more of a to-do list and use a quick Kanban board to update the status of those different tasks within my projects. Then I can connect to the Office 365 Planner and drop things into different buckets. And when I'm ready to, update status on these, then I can flip over into my status view and drag and drop things from not started to in progress and such. And again, that flows back on into Project Online. So we still have, one place to go to see one version of the truth for all types of projects, no matter how we're executing on them. And the list goes on. There's many different tools. One really cool thing then, and a good way that we can bring all these tools together, we might need one or more different tools to go and manage and execute on these different projects and to manage this whole process. And so imagine that for each project or program, or at whatever level you want, you could create a team. And for that, within that team, I could bring in all the different tools that we're using. So Teams has this ability to go and add tabs, and these tabs allow us to connect to lots of different tools, like the Office 365 Planner we just saw, or like VSTS. Or Trello if you're using that, or whatever it might be. There's lots of different capabilities in here to be able to pull in different things, even Power BI reports. And so I have my communication stream here, and as a team, this is where we can come to collaborate and still access all these different tools that we're using from one place instead of it kind of being spread around all over. Office 365 is doing a really good job of taking these apps and capabilities and bringing them into one experience. So for example, if I click on schedule here, what this will actually do is it'll pull up the Project Online schedule. So if this was a waterfall project and or we're rolling things back into Project Online, I can come in and I can see all of those here right within my in my team, right? Let's say I wanted to use VSTS for some of this project, maybe just the development piece of it, and I want to bring that into my team as well. I can come in and I can go into VSTS and have that Kanban board that we just saw and update status right here from within my team. And even if we have things like status reports that we're doing over in Power BI, and we'll see a little bit more Power BI in just a second, we can bring those into our team as well right here and see the status on this project and how it's doing and what's getting presented back out to management and to stakeholders and customers and whoever else might be consuming these types of status reports. So we have lots of tools and lots of capabilities, and we can actually use Teams to bring that together into one experience. So I have one place to go then to come in and access all of the different information and make updates and such right from here. So from a reporting perspective, that takes us really into Power BI. And we just saw how Power BI can be tied into Teams and bring that all together into one experience. But I could also just as easily go to Power BI and look at reports across many different tools and such. For example, this particular dashboard here is my Agile PMO portfolio dashboard. On the left-hand side, I see more traditional waterfall types of metrics, things like portfolio cost and risk. But because we can connect these tools together, this is actually my total portfolio cost of all of my projects, Agile, waterfall, managed in different tools or not, that all comes back together. On the right-hand side, though, I can also show more traditional Agile types of metrics, things like sprint burnups and burn downs, bug trends over time, cumulative flow diagrams of user stories, maybe velocity, whatever else you might be wanting to track. So that as a manager, I can go to one place to get all the information I need. And if I want more details, I can simply click on any of these and drill in and do that. So from here, if I click into, say, this project portfolio status report, this is showing me all of my different projects grouped by portfolio here, but it could be grouped by program or others, the status of those projects. And I can start to drill into all kinds of things like timelines, into financials around these, so on and so forth, and start to get into all the different details if I choose to do so. Coming back to here, though, we've started to have new capabilities within Power BI as part of this digital transformation to even be able to do actionable things right from the report. So instead of, let's say I want to make an update to this phones project here, instead of having to go into Project Online and go find it, I have a link right here. I just click that. That'll take me right into that project wherever it's being managed, whether it was in Project Online or VSTS or et cetera. And then I can come in and I can make my changes and make my updates, which will then reflect back in the report. So really helping to connect these things together and make the experience nicer and easier to get around. So hopefully with that, you can see how there's this whole set of different features and functions within Office 365 that we can tie together within one experience. So at the end of the day, we can make sure that we're doing the right work, focusing on the things that provide value, while at the same time being able to execute on these tools in many different ways to keep competitive with the markets and change quickly and be agile, as well as go waterfall when we need to and bring that all together within one place and get visibility into what's going on. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Jim for a few more closing slides, and then we'll let you guys go for the day. There you go, Jim.
All right, thank you, Matthew. Let me show my screen. Can you see me okay?
Yes.
All right, terrific. Well, let's go on to a couple of the other topics that we had on the agenda, and let's talk about PMO managed services. One of the things that Wickersoft does today is provide staffing and managed services, and managed services to programs for targeted markets. We do operational support systems and business support systems for certain industries, quality assurance, and we also have an offering now called PMO as a service. And the idea is to help organizations who don't have the staffing or the focus areas that they want to dedicate full-time staffing to have someone like ourselves provide that capability for them to help them operate more efficiently, increase business value, improve their project performance, and really manage the process for them or the solution for them as a service. Just PMO as a service really provides seasoned professionals who know the tools and the discipline and the subject matter really well and provide advisory, technological, and other support services to help people succeed at these endeavors using a variety of different tools. So it's something that you might want to consider, especially if you're a smaller organization. Essentially, what happens a lot of times is people want to embark upon these digital transformation efforts or put the solutions in place to make that happen, but they feel hamstrung because they don't have the bandwidth to tackle a major initiative. Sometimes outsourced help on a temporary basis can actually help in that regard. So we can provide that type of service for you as well. Or even just hiring the right staffing team. So if you want staffing services or have spot needs for actually having different folks in the PMO or different PMO types of roles, to do that, we can actually help fill the gap to help get you over the hump on a temporary basis with the right professional services in order to make that happen. Contingent services is oftentimes a good way to go. So from a summary and wrap-up perspective, Mike told you a little bit about Wickersoft. We are a global company, triple gold certified, and we can help you in a variety of different ways in consulting, business applications, managed services, global support, and staffing. We are really a one-stop shop, so if you have needs in this area, please talk to us and we'll let you know we can help you both in the applications, consulting service, education and training, staffing, and managed services. And it goes across more than just the Project Online things we saw here today, all across the Microsoft Cloud, whether it be Microsoft Project and Project Online for PPM, whether it be Agile Portfolio Management in Visual Studio, whether it be more of a digital workplace endeavors that you want to do in SharePoint and other Microsoft Cloud technologies, or in Dynamics 365 with things like professional services automation and field service management and the other things that are provided within that business solutions platform, all leveraging the Microsoft Cloud and Power BI from a reporting and analytics perspective. As a thank you for joining us today, we want to make you some offers. We're happy to give you a free assessment and roadmap of what it would take to get you into some of the technologies and things that you saw today. To that regard, at no charge to you, we're willing to chaperone you through a Project Online trial with Wickersoft handheld support through that to get the most out of that trial, to get hands-on with that. Or maybe as a next step, if you saw the generalized demo that we had here today and the concepts, maybe you want something a little more personalized and one-on-one for your organization. We're happy to provide that for you too at no charge. If you want to reach out to us in general, you can email us at NASales, that's short for North America Sales, at wickersoft.com, or you can reach out to myself, Jim Patterson, or Matt Willey, or Mike Otranto, any of us that were on the webcast today, if you want some more information on how to do any of these things. And from a webcast perspective, we do these on a very regular basis with a lot of different topic areas. You can go and see any on-demand past ones and recorded ones at wickersoft.com/webinars and sign up for any of the upcoming ones we have. We have a bunch coming up over the next 2 months that you might want to take a look at. So you can get information regarding us at wickersoft.com, or we have a specialized site at project-online.com. So with that, I'd like to thank you all for your time and attention today. I hope you found some value in the subject matter in here, and we hope to interact with you all in the future. Have a great day.